call the meeting of the Austintown Township Trustees of January 28th to order. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Here. As is our tradition, may I introduce the people who are sitting in front of you. To my far right, our Senior Center Director, Jim Henshaw, our Park Superintendent, Todd Schaefer, our Fire Chief is out of the country, I think he is. Just out of state, okay. Our Police Chief, Chief Bob Gavalier, our Zoning Inspector, Darren Cavelli, our Township Administrator and Road Superintendent, Mike Dockery. To my right, my colleague, Jim Davis. I'm Ken Corral. To my left, colleague, Doug McGlynn. And like Jim says, our favorite fiscal officer, since she's there. That's so insane, but God bless her, it's Mrs. Lori Wolf. We need a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the regular and reorganization meeting of January 14th, 2019, and the special meeting of January 22nd.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Corino?
Yes.
Mr. McGlynn?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Michael, what does the administrator have to report?
A few things. I may take more time than Darren today.
Oh,
Just to, number one, briefly, just to go over the 2 weekend ago, the storm we had. I think there's, in some cases, some misinformation out there. Just want to let everybody know that on Saturday at 5:30 we were out, and we were out through 5:30 Sunday. We then went out 7 hours later at 12:30 Sunday, and we're out till 3 a.m. In that 34-hour period, we happened to be out for 27 hours. Now, every storm, what we like to say, has its own dynamics. You can't compare one storm to another storm. The problem we found with this storm was that even though we were out for 12 hours, when we came back out on Sunday, all of the guys told me they were surprised at the condition of the road because the snow and the wind had put a lot of the snow that we had worked on for 12 hours back into the road. And, you know, I looked up at all the hours that the guys worked, and we put 247 hours last weekend between Saturday evening through 3 a.m. Monday morning, you know, into that storm. Unfortunately, when you have 12 inches of wet snow, it takes that kind of time, that kind of manpower to get it off the roads. And in addition, if the wind, you know, blows it back in after we've kicked some of it off, blows some of it back in, it's, you know, it's even going to take you longer. But, you know, that storm had a dynamics that one of my chief foreman said to me, I've been doing this for 30 years and I've never seen a storm like this where you put 12 hours in, you come out 7 hours later, and a lot of what you had done looked like you had done. But that's the nature of that storm.
we will be talking more about this later on.
If I could follow up with, I talked to Chief Ross this morning. He wanted to let me advise everybody that with the temperatures coming this week, he's going to man Station 3 and 4 from 8 p.m. Wednesday through 8 a.m. Thursday for 12 hours because of the severe temperatures that are going to be supposedly coming during that time. In addition, this cold weather, as he explained it, can really damage their fire trucks. So on non-fire calls, they're going to use their SUVs to answer calls between 8 p.m. Tuesday and 8 a.m. Friday. Because they've taken trucks out before, because they've had to in severe cold weather like this, pipes break and you get all kind of problems with the trucks. But I mean, if there's a fire, they got to take the trucks out, they will, but for non-fire calls, they'll be using their SUVs, he told me. Jim has also, just to follow up on that, the senior center, if we have a situation where we need someplace, let's say electrical, people lose power, they don't have heat, the senior center will be available in that case. I don't know, is the Stacy available?
Yes.
We could probably use the Stacy in that event also. We have something going on here Wednesday, but outside Wednesday during the day, we could use this facility too, if that becomes necessary. And Dennis O'Hara from Emergency Management has been advised of the senior center availability. Remind me tomorrow, I'll advise him of the Stacy too.
What is it? It's supposed to be what, -9, something like that?
On the Weather Channel, I saw the low is supposed to be -6, is what they're calling for right now.
Wind chill, yeah. Wind chill is way out.
A couple things that are further on the agenda. One, you'll see we have to adopt a credit card. There's a credit card policy that we're requesting that you adopt. This policy was written by the state of Ohio, and we were required, like all the subdivisions, to have this in place by February 1st. Basically, it's not that big of a change for us, because it basically calls for a sign in and sign out for credit cards, which we do now. Our policy will say that you can have a credit card in your possession for 72 hours between signing it in and signing it out. But that's why it is on the agenda, because this is being mandated by the state. I'm assuming that the auditor has found a lot of problems over the last few years with credit cards being misused, and this is the reason for it. And just, when you're through with new business, Ken, just call me. We have one more item to add as far as on new business, and that's a request to authorize the township to borrow $500,000 against first half revenues because of cash flow problems that we may have. Last year, we were set to borrow, and we just happened to get our advance that day that solved the problem, but we want the authority anyways to do it. And anymore, we can't, it doesn't take a couple days like it used to in the good old days. It takes a week or two to get all the paperwork done.
And you'll do that in another new business. Okay. Anything else, Mike?
No.
All right, thank you so very much. That's the longest report you've given in the last 4 years. Moving on now to the vote, to the police department, chief.
The only thing I'd like to add is we received this last week grant, I believe it's a JAG grant, for about $9,600 for computers and laptops.
Just for the office of the car, just for the office. Very good. Okay, Andy's not here today. Let's move on to zoning. Darren?
I'd ask the board to approve a motion under ORC Title 5.87 and declare the following two properties of public nuisance. 3733 Mahoney Avenue, large amount of miscellaneous items, junk and debris stored in exposed manner on the east and south side of the building. And 5705 Northwest Boulevard, a chain link fence in disrepair is fallen, abutting a number of properties located on Yorktown Lane. That is the former Lloyd School. Over here.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Mr. McGlynn?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And I would ask the board to approve a motion to find the following motor vehicles to meet all the following criteria. 3 model years or older, apparently inoperable and substantially damaged, including but not limited to the following: missing wheels, tires, engine, or transmission. And declare the following vehicles public nuisance under Ohio Code 5.871. And order the removal of the junk vehicles within 14 days after notice is served to the property owners. 1095, you'll end to place an inoperable white Cadillac with an expired license plate GCT 9287 parked in exposed manner within the driveway.
Motion, please.
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Traina?
Yes.
Mr. McGuinn?
Yes. And just one other thing, I would ask the board to approve a motion to approve the minutes of Amendment 2018-05-Z, public hearing held on January 14, 2019. I emailed you guys the minutes and Teresa put them on the agenda.
Okay.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Traina?
Yes.
Mr. McGuinn?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. And that's all I have for the board.
Thanks, Darren. Okay, moving on to the park, our park superintendent, Todd, what's going on?
I will continue taking Christmas trees through the end of this week. We collect those for the green team for natural habitat in local ponds and lakes. We'll take those until Saturday. The park just followed the signs, which are directed to the place where we're taking them. And that's all I have.
Good, thank you. Jim, Senior Center.
Just wanted to remind people that the senior center is closed when Austintown schools are closed because of a weather situation. We ran into an interesting situation last week with Martin Luther King Day because the schools were open, but they should have been closed, but they were closed because they were celebrating the holiday, so they wouldn't have been closed anyhow, but they normally probably would have closed because of the weather. So we were open. But we are closed. If the Austintown schools are closed for weather, we are closed. And just to reiterate what Mr. Dockery said earlier, we have made the senior center available for shelter if there's a situation, where people have lost their heat or things like that, that they can come to our place, but they have to filter it through the police or fire department because it's not, we're not going to be there if there's nobody coming in.
And I wanted to ask Andy this too. I mean, now we had an episode about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Were there people that actually came in?
I didn't have any.
No. See, that's the thing, people are preparing themselves way ahead of time, but it's always good for the emergency situation. Especially because of the fire stations, they're manned, so it's an easy situation.
I think it's also important to note, we also have the capabilities for canine and feline friends
Yes.
with dog crates and things there as well.
That was a big issue I had with, when I talked to Red Cross about that, they said absolutely no way they would ever allow a dog to come with the people. And I said, no, that's not going to work in our place, they can bring your dogs.
So we do have crates that we can crate them for a short period of time.
Right.
Okay, Laura, what do we need to do to take care of our budget here?
I just have the monthly report.
Okay? We need approval of December reports submitted to the board at January 14, 2019 meeting, fund status, revenue status, and appropriation status.
So moved. Second.
Mr. McGuinn?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Traina?
Yes. And who is going to speak about the advances? No, it's just simply the advances. This is the time of the year. Our taxes are not in yet. So obviously, we have to take care of things that have to be done, so we do approve advances from the general fund. Motion to approve advances from the general fund, $1,000 to $20,000 to the road, $6,000 to maintenance, $32,000 to communications, and $200,000 to the police department. Motion, please. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, didn't hear you. Okey-doke.
Mr. Traina?
Yes.
Mr. McGuinn?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Every time we start talking about moving money around, we don't get very loud.
Now, question for, I guess, would be more, that's money that, as the taxes come back in, our collections, in some of those cases, goes back in the general.
Right, it'll all go back to the general fund.
It all has to, by law, so.
And luckily,
Yeah.
well, not luckily, thankfully, we have the police levy coming in, so
Good.
they may not be having to take so much money from
Is
us.
that, yeah, that's this this year. Is that right? Okay, motion to approve the credit card policy mandated by the state of Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Malay?
Yes.
A motion to appoint one board member to the Mahoning Valley Sanitary District Advisory Council pursuant to and in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 6115.104A.
So moved. Do you want to explain that, Mike? You want me to?
No, go ahead, Doug, you went to the meeting.
Last week, we had a meeting with the Mahoning Valley Sanitary District Advisory Council. Most people don't know, but this council's been around for 17 years. However, there's only really been 2 members of this council. It's been Youngstown and Niles. So what we're doing is we're asking any township that has even one person who receives Youngstown City water or Niles City water have representation on this board. The idea behind the board is to make upcharges and charges from Youngstown and Niles water the same all the way across the board. Instead of one township paying more and the other township paying less, which is happening, the idea with this advisory council is to make the Mahoning Valley Sanitary District a little more accountable for their rates and their rate increases. There were 6 members there last week. Myself, Morgan, Liberty, Howland, and Huddersfield, and Camden, out of all the townships. But we have put something out through the Ohio Township Association to get more members to come to our next meeting in March, in which we'll draft some bylaws and come up with a way that we can actually monitor and get the Mahoning Valley Sanitary District to be consistent.
I'd make a motion to appoint Doug McGlynn to the Mahoning Valley Sanitary District Advisory Council pursuant and in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 6115.104A.
I second the motion.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Malay?
Yes.
Even voted yes.
Hey,
Not so like me.
smooth, that was smooth.
Thank you for attending that, Doug, and
No problem.
doing that.
A motion to approve the 2019 budget for the Austintown and Boardman Mahoning County Joint Communications District COG, $438,900 to be received from the county.
So moved.
Any explanation, Chief? That's, the COG that's just our system, right?
Council of Governments money we're going to receive from the Mahoning County for dispatching for them.
So Austintown's gonna receive the 400 and Boardman will receive the same?
Or we will receive a little, something.
It's very close, but not the same, it's a little less.
Okay.
This is unusual, we're having a motion that we're accepting money.
Oh, no, we're paying.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, that it sounded like we were accepting it. I'm sorry, Jim, you look.
No, we are
We are
accepting.
accepting.
Okay.
All right, Jim, Doug,
So
Second.
Mr. Kraft?
yeah.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Malay?
yes.
Okay, we're at the point of the meeting where we have a,
Okay, just
okay, hold on, yeah, go ahead, go
Need a
ahead.
motion to approve the borrowing of $500,000 against first half
Okay,
advances.
we don't want to close down the township. Okay.
You want to take a 3-week break?
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kraft?
Yes.
Mr. Malay?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Now we hit the public response, we have it 2 ways, on or off the TV camera. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to us off camera? Nobody wants to be off camera. Okay, now, anyone in the audience that would like to speak to us, please, on camera? Sam?
Sam Squall, 4492 Val Road. I just want to get back to what Mr. Dockery was saying about the roads and people I don't know if people are calling and complaining, but, you know, it happens all the time. You know, I feel I've been here almost 40 years, and I feel we got the best police, fire, road department, park department. You're always gonna have people that and, you know, that's just part of life.
Cut that off.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, they ought to take into consideration how many people work in these departments and what they have to go through and put up with. I'm here basically to thank the fire department on the incident that happened to me on Tuesday. It's kind of stupid, but it's not my shed working, as I do almost all winter. I have an electric heater, so it wasn't the heater, but I jumped my lawn tractors to get the batteries charged, and my new went so quiet, I left and I came back in, and I continued to work about over an hour. And when they say you can't smell carbon monoxide, you can't smell it. I didn't realize until I happened to go in the house with something I remembered I had to get, and I'm glad I did. As soon as I stepped outside that door and hit the fresh air, I went down. I stumbled to the house, stumbled in there in front of my granddaughter and my wife, and thanks to Austintown Fire Department and the paramedics, on their fast response, I ended up at St. E's and hydrobaric chamber for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But I just want to personally thank the individuals, Lieutenant Markham, Fireman Nick Reed, Fireman Ron Oyster, and the paramedics John Del Percio and Megan Coey for what they did to make sure I was here today. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you.
That's great, Sam. I'll tell you, that if we lost you, it would take about 25 other people to try to do all the things that you do for Austintown in the course of the year.
And you might get some smarter ones.
Okay, Jim.
Jim Johnson, 53 South Kimberly. Sunday I had a potassium problem, and I collapsed at home and went into a coma or something. And my wife called the fire department. They came over, they did a wonderful job. They got me to the hospital on time, got me in intensive care. I was there for almost a day and a half. But for some reason I came out of it fairly quick. They did a nice job at the fire department. They were right there, and they called you right away. And they did a wonderful job. I want to thank them very much.
Very good.
Once
again,
lately, they're always there when you need them.
It's great to know that the things are functioning correctly and so on, especially for individuals that serve the township so well. Yes, your wife called, she was literally crying and thanking the fire department and so on for it, and I did pass it on to them. So I'm glad you guys are both here, you know what I mean? We'll have to get you your own doctors. Anyone else, please? I thank you. But now we go to remarks from the board. Laura?
I'm glad I'm finally thawed out. I got stuck on Sunday. But they did a great job. I know that snow just kept coming, so I appreciate the efforts to get everybody on and where they needed to be. And the year's coming along. We're getting close to the end of just wrapping up 2018. W-2s are done, 1099s are out. Year-end financial report is the last thing I have to work on.
So, very good. If I may, take a little thing off of our regular routine. During those 2 days, I'm sure Laura was getting calls too, but the three of us, in truth, our phones should have been melting. Now, the irony of that is, there were a lot of people calling to congratulate us and thank us for it. What I would like to do right now, because that old teacher in me, I want to make some comments that my colleagues will join in as they feel about what is going on for information. It is so important that the people understand what goes on with the road department during these particular times. We have a very efficient road department, but once again, when you have a unique situation, it causes unique problems. But people have to understand about those particular problems. Let me give you some background as to a normal snowfall, 1 to 3 inches, 4 inches, and our boys go out there and unfortunately there aren't any girls, so our boys go out there and they plow the roads and so on. We have 115 miles of roads. We have trucks that go out, and each of them have a set routine of where they should go and what roads they have to accomplish. Now, they have to explain this to me, but each road takes 4 turns. Most of the trucks that we only have 2 trucks that have a sliding plow. All the other trucks have set plows. Makes it a lot easier. And for those people, we got a little heat thrown on us and somebody on the radio about the fact that, you know, we don't know what we're doing, and we were accused of not plowing our own driveways, which is insane. But the best part about it is I used to plow for ODOT, and that was easy because it was a straight road. Austintown has very few straight roads. One of the biggest problems we have is we have over 100 cul-de-sacs, full cul-de-sacs. And we have roughly around 66 half cul-de-sacs. Now, because of the procedure is we want to make sure that the roads get cleared first, so that in case of any kind of an emergency, the police, fire, ambulances, and whatever can get there. So in many cases, those people who live on cul-de-sacs, and I do apologize for the circumstances, but we wait until we get through the main roads first, the roads first, and then we go back and take care of the cul-de-sacs. Now, what happens is it usually takes about 8 hours for that, a snowstorm. The guys go out, they take their 10 miles, they take care of what the situation is, and they're back. They only stop for to eat or to restroom or something of this sort. And every night before they leave in the wintertime, they load their trucks so that they're ready with the salt and everything on in case they have to be called up through the night. Now, calling out through the night, the police are the first people that look around. When they feel that there's some unsafe business with the roads, they call and out go the trucks after they talk to Mike and to the foreman. We also send foremen out to look at the roads to make sure. So people are ready. We watch the weather reports. Okay, so now in a normal routine, that's what happens. We go out, we plow the roads and so on, and before it's all over in 8 hours, everything is done. But understand something now. This happened unbelievably fast. 2 times we got snowed. 2 times. Many people, and we were trying to be as nice as we could with them, first said that they weren't plowing. And then they said, we still have snow, and so on. But unless you were standing outside your door and looking, you didn't see the truck coming. And understand something, that from the first day to the second day, we got 2 snows, 10 inches. Some, in some places, 14 or 16 inches. Think about it for a second, what happens. Well, we normally are used to passing through with 3-4 inches, and the trucks go about 25 miles an hour. They have to go just a little faster with that other snow, especially when it's heavy, but they have to watch it. The safety factor there is unbelievable because they're throwing that hot, wet snow. That brings us to mailboxes. Okay? We most, 90% of our mailboxes, 95% of the mailboxes that are taken out are taken down by heavy snow. When we live in an area like Austintown, we're not used to 10, 12 inches of wet snow. So we don't have the big, you see what the state does, because the state refuses now, they will not replace the mailboxes. If you're living in an area where you have a truck that's going very fast, you have to put up literally a blocker to stop that heavy snow from hitting your mailbox. We don't have that here. Our policy here is simply this. If we hit your plow, if our plow hit your mailbox, we're going to fix it. We do try to fix the ones that got hit by snow and so on, but in many cases we try to put them together as much as we can. If not, we use a fundamental mailbox and put it up for you. That's all we can do at this particular moment. But understand this now. Now with that snow, we ended up with them going out and going 30 hours. Now think about it, 30 hours. They rested roughly about 6 hours before they did these things. Now a lot of people are talking about, now here's the situation, by the way. We have 16 members, normally we have 16 members of the road department. We are minus 2 people because of retiring, 2 people retired, we have 14. During this snowstorm, we actually lost 2 because one was on medical leave, the other one was on vacation. We send out 10 trucks. Now normally we send out 12 trucks. We send out 10 trucks, and instead of the just 10 miles that they had to cover, some of them had to cover 13 to make sure that we got all the roads done. It got so bad the second time, we went in tandem. We literally tried to get the roads done. Rather than one truck going through the roads on making 4 passes, we did it 2 trucks, 1 time on one side and 2 passes each to try to expedite getting the roads done. They did an outstanding job. But people have to understand, what you expect with 4 inches is not the same with 14 inches. It takes a while. Nobody is, applauding the fact that it takes us longer to do these things and so on. But talk to the dear Lord and ask him not to hit us with 14 inches of snow and we'll be in better shape. Cars on the road. We send out a parking ban. The parking ban is set up so our trucks can go straight through the roads, not have to go around cars. Yes, most people understood that and took their cars off. Others didn't. And frankly, we buried them. Because there's nothing you can do about it. You go around them and you throw the snow all over them. But something is happening now even worse. All of us have snow blowers and plows. We have to plow our driveways, and we hate it after we get it all done. And here comes the truck, and it plows all this snow right in front of our driveway. Well, folks, unfortunately, they can't stop and do that. So be ready with your plows. But you know what people are doing now? They're putting their cars in the front of their driveway. Don't do that. Understand something. On a parking ban, we can actually give you a ticket for that. We don't give tickets, we just bury your car. You don't want to stop that plow. That, just because it's going to take you a little bit longer to plow the things. So I'm asking you, please don't do things like that. Most of the time everything is pretty good. If you have an emergency, understand something. If you have somebody that you have to get an emergency coming in, now our fire department and police department will get those emergencies. They'll call us. But if you know that somebody in your house has to do something, call the police, call the dispatchers immediately, because then we will put someone over there. We send out, the last time, we even got the park department to go out and help with the cul-de-sacs because there was no way we were going to be able to get to them in fast enough time. But if you're stuck and there's an emergency, don't be afraid to call with us because we have an emergency truck that will go out on emergencies. Now, we don't want to take the trucks off the road for the emergency. We have an emergency truck that we have to do that. But for anyone to say that we didn't do the roads, understand, when they come in, everybody has to check in. They check in, they make a point of every one of them. If they have an immediate problem, they tell us. For example, 2 of the trucks broke down. Now, somebody made a big thing about our trucks being old, and they are. They are. We have a set amount of money that comes in for the road department. There is no road money for trucks, road money for raises, road money for roads, road money for other things. It's all one thing. If we spend it on this, we can't spend it on that. It takes one or the other. We get to, in the summertime, everybody yells and screams about the fact that they want their roads paved. When I first started as a trustee, it was $10,000 a mile. It's now $110,000 a mile to do that. But the snow time comes, everyone's worried about the snow. But if you have an emergency, call us. But it doesn't mean that we're going to have to pull people off because who's right and wrong? Emergencies we try to take care of. But please make sure they are truly an emergency because you're hurting somebody else with this. I like to think that the reason a lot of people got upset is because they're so used to our roads being cleared so fast, because they do such an outstanding job. And we listen to all those complaints constantly. There's not much we can do about it unless it's an emergency, except tell people we are sorry, it'll get done. But look what we did. They went through those 2 days, cleaned those roads up. Most of the time they were doing it in the dark and so on, trying to get things going for people. The next day they went out and threw the slush, the salt and everything on it, made it all slushy, and then plowed it again. We got that snow done beautifully in a very, very short time. I have to thank the county, by the way. The county did a nice job, as much as they did, and then the state too. But understand that we tried desperately to get things done, and I'm for one, and my colleagues I think agree with me wholeheartedly. We applaud the road department for what they did. They did an excellent job. Gentlemen, do you have anything?
I think a couple of things that people have to remember. When you're plowing your driveway, don't put it out in the middle of the road, because that creates a whole lot more work for that truck that's already pushing a lot of snow. And going around Saturday and Sunday, there were a lot of neighborhoods where people just pushed the snow on the road. And the truck had come down, as Ken said, the initial venture was 1 lane down the middle. Well, when you're snow blowing or pushing all your snow into the middle of the road, that defeats the purpose. Having snow blow in my driveway as well as about 4 or 5 neighbors, at least 4 times, you can't put it out in the middle because it really hampers what they're trying to do. And the cul-de-sac, same thing, it's tough to get those trucks around like this, as Todd will probably tell you. It's hard to get those cul-de-sacs plowed. But keep that in mind when you're calling and complaining, or certain personalities term the road department and trustees as incompetent. That is not the case. The case is that we are doing everything we can do over the course of time. When I went to bed Saturday night, my driveway was pavement. When I woke up Sunday morning, it looked like I didn't do a thing, and I did it 3 times already. So it's unusual when that stuff happens. It doesn't happen a lot here. But keep that in mind, to be mindful of the guys in the truck. If they're coming by and you want to give them a cup of coffee, 30 hours is a long time with 6 hours sleep.
But they can't stop. I mean, you can wait till the day.
Wait until we give them a car if they're stuck at a stop sign. But, you know, when you're looking at people being stuck in the roads and different things, a lot of people ventured out because they just wanted to venture out, and that just causes more problems. And as Ken said, you know, going to breakfast Sunday morning is not the emergency that you need to go to the hospital. So keep that in mind. I will tell you on Saturday and Sunday, the three of us and Mike and our road crew were in constant contact with one another. When we would get phone calls, we would talk to Mike, Mike would talk to the road guys. It's just a constant trying to do the right thing.
If I may, we have three foremen. Every member of the road crew is out all the time. Nobody stays in here. Mike, if he could get to the office, he could get there, but he takes all the calls from everybody at his home, and he talks to all of them in case of emergency, and we talk to the police and fire all the time too.
And we're looking at ways to make things a little better sometimes, and things that may help the road department out a little bit, as well as Mike out when it comes to the so again, be patient. That's what I kept telling my neighbors. Mine was plowed 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Be patient. If you don't have to go somewhere, stay home.
We become
It's good to get
trustees. We tell them, don't plow our roads first. I tell my neighbors, shame on you for living next to me, because we can't get plowed first, because God knows what will happen at that. Jim?
I just think I think it's important also to reiterate that as well, and by no means do we want to make light of the situation, that the roads were plowed in a timely fashion. I would personally take responsibility for saying that we probably maybe even hindered our road crews by the calls we were taking, that we were calling him in the mic, that he was then in turn pulling guys to go do those roads, whereas maybe we should have let the guys just follow their routines and follow those routines. And so if there's some responsibility to be taken there, it would be that. But once again, not to make excuses, but I think it's important also to reiterate, when we talk about the trucks and we talk about manpower, there was a road levy on the ballot about 2 years ago, and the public voted no. And then we put a police levy on the ballot, and the public voted no. And people said, when we put the police levy back on the ballot in November, you guys have done nothing. You've done nothing to cut, you've done nothing. Folks, we, just after this levy was passed, and we talked about how it would open money up in the general fund, purchased 2 new road trucks at $150,000 apiece. It's $300,000 that was spent because you voted yes in November. Now, had that yes vote came in May, it takes us 6 months to get these trucks. Unfortunately, that was a cause and effect of you, the public, telling us, no, we don't want our taxes raised. And we have to live by that. We have to live within that budget. So because of that, when we had 2 of our highest paid foremen retire, we didn't replace those individuals. We did without. You tell us to work with less, we will work within our means of what you give us. So now, we have had the opportunity to purchase 2 new trucks. We can begin looking at additional personnel and things of that sort. But on the same token, we want to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. And we can't have a knee-jerk reaction because of a once in, I know I've been here 10 years, a once in 10-year storm. So, you know, I hope that the public can understand that. These guys did a great job. My hat's off to our road department. I will stand behind them 110% with the job they've done. Todd, thank you for, you know, what people also may not understand is that we are responsible for the Westchester building that we own and the parks. Todd and his crew were out and had the parks opened up, trustee park for the recycling center. I don't know anybody that was going to recycling bins that day, but and if they did, they were crazy.
They were dumping snow.
But they, you know, they had the Westchester parking lots opened and the parks were all open for business. And then Todd actually stayed out extra to make sure that the residents that lived in those cul-de-sacs, he was opening those up as well. And so thank you and your staff for doing that as well. Darren learned how to drive a plow truck. but no, that just, you know.
Yeah, you brought up the point about we bought a couple of trucks. Those of you who are my age, remember those days when we would walk in and say, I want that truck, and it's got a back and everything else? You know, it takes almost 2 weeks of sitting down to figure out what the chassis is, what's gonna go on this, and so on and so forth. It is so sophisticated now that it's unbelievable about buying a truck.
Yeah,
But anyway, we're not complaining. Call us, that's what we're here for. Please do, we'll listen and we'll try to be as nice as we possibly can. And we go out to look around, but God knows, you don't need more people out on the road when people are plowing, so.
Not to pat the three of us on the back, but I don't think you would have found more three accessible guys on that Saturday night and Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon that responded to over 200 Facebook messages, numerous phone calls and text messages as well, as I know you guys did, so thank you, you guys. And Mike, I know you were taking the phone calls as well. So.
Well, Mike has to take it from us too, so.
And Mike, thank you for dealing with us.
Okay. All right, Doug, what else do you have to say?
I just would like one other thing to congratulate Sabrina Hunter. She's on West Point on full scholarship, but she broke a long-standing record, Chrissy Toast's rebound record. And I forgot to mention that a few meetings ago, but congratulations to Sabrina and the Lady Falcons. She's quite a player and they've got a pretty good team. But again, congratulations to them and all of our winter sports athletes. We just had the Hefner this past weekend, which is one of the most competitive wrestling matches in the state of Ohio. And again, Falcons showed proud. Canfield noticed that a little bit, but that's okay. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But again, congratulations to all those winter sport athletes as well.
James?
I just wanted to, number one, take an opportunity to thank the Regional Chamber for asking me to speak at the Good Morning Austin.
Wait. Ladies and gentlemen, he gave one great speech, and it was short. But I wanted to say it before you did. You could thank the chamber, I'll thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Steward Health, with Dr. Shina, and of course, the Chemical Bank for being the sponsors of the event. It gives us an opportunity to highlight things in the Austintown community and the things that are going on. Briefly, my speech was just quickly about a new website that we're working on. If you go to the township's website right now, I would encourage you to do so. Go to it because it's miserable. It's tough to find information on there and it's just not user-friendly. So one of the things that we've been working on is we've partnered with 898 Marketing and have created a new township website. It will tell you about the different departments, but for the business community aspect of it, and what the speech was that I gave to the Regional Chamber, which obviously showcases businesses in the community, is that we want to highlight the businesses in the Austintown area. The big question a lot of times we get when people want to come to this area with their business is, what's in it for me? What's in it for my business? Why should I choose Austintown over Boardman, Canfield, Niles, wherever? And one of the things we wanted to do is make them part of that website so that they have an ownership in our community and they know that we have an ownership in their business, so that they know we support them as a business owner here. And by doing that, we, like I said, partnered with 898 Marketing, and they are doing a new township website for us. So please check out our old website because the new one will be being launched here real soon. And you'll get to see all the nice new features it has, as well as being able to go to tabs where you can click and drop down and find different businesses or different medical fields or different restaurants in the Austintown community. So that's going to be really nice. So thank you to obviously Mahoney Valley Racecourse, to Racino for having us there, and to the Regional Chamber for hosting that event. And it was a pleasure to do that. Aside from that, it is going to be cold in the next couple of days, folks. It's going to be miserably cold. And I would just encourage everybody to remember as well. I know we have outside pets. Well, that's my dog. He's an outside dog. Folks, it's going to be miserably cold. Please, if you have pets outside, bring them in. We do have ordinances in Austintown for tethering and things of that sort. So we don't want to have to send our police officers out because you left your dogs and animals outside. please bring them in. Please make sure they have shelter. You know, if you do have horses or whatever, please open up the barns, get them some blankets, do whatever you can. Make sure your animals, because it is going to be brutal the next couple of days. So,
Make sure you check on your neighbors as well.
yes,
to make
yes,
sure
by
they-
all means. Check on, someone call
Check on
Jimmy's
Sam.
neighbor and someone call Sam's neighbor and make sure we check on them.
Check on Sam.
Okay?
You know, you talk about checking on it, during this snow thing, it was so nice to see Austintown residents helping each other.
Yes.
Snow blowers going on people's things, older people not having to do those things and so on. So, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you guys, and hey, if there's any snow this coming weekend, don't call me, I'll be in Camden. I will not be within phone
Make
service.
sure you call them. You know, we were, any number of times we talked about the fact of what's happening in Lordstown and the effect it had on Austintown. So many of our residents are those who have worked there or are working there. So certainly we are strong advocates and so on of any kind of way we can influence General Motors to keep the plant opening. We know how good it is, the facilities and so on. So we have sent our letters in and we attend all of of these, and we hope the rest of you in Austintown will do it also. Once again, the chamber, you know, every time we host things here, we hosted the Christmas party for the Township Association, Mahoney County Township at the Racino, and we ended up with the chamber having Good Morning Austintown at the Racino. We always get the biggest crowds. I often wonder when they don't go up there and gamble, they all want to see the Racino, I think, more than anything else. For those out there that got mad at me because when I was asking for you to call the candidates for governor and so on, to ask them please to get rid of the rainy day fund, give us back our money and quit taking $1.9 million off of our normal budget each year for the rainy day fund that is well over $2 billion. I got a lot of critics that said it's not their responsibility to call, it's my responsibility and my colleagues. I assure you, we're a little bit of a pain in the rear down in Columbus. But I want you to know that this weekend, I'm going to represent our trustees down in Columbus for the convention, the Township Association Convention, and I will be speaking to the chairman of the Senate, the House Speaker, and hopefully someone in the governor's office asking them. But more importantly, I'm one of the speakers at the General Assembly, and I will be speaking and asking all of the Township Association members throughout the state of Ohio to put influence on the administration to give us back our money. I believe that's it. Anybody else have anything? Okay, let me get the official word here, so I can say it correctly. A motion to recess to executive session for the following: to consider appointments, employment, discipline, or compensation of public employee, or to prepare to conducting review negotiations or bargaining sessions.
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Davis?
yes.
Mr. Cram?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
In association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.